Okay? Y'all are in trouble, I'm telling you. Those that have not, I talk as fast as a New Yorker, and I grew up as a hillbilly, so that'll help you. I should fit in, right? My English is a little different, and as I'm sure you can tell. But love being here. Love flying in yesterday. Beautiful countryside. Great country. The UK is, you know, you guys are a lot more technologically advanced in the US. You know that, right? The percentages tell us that you're going faster to where the world is going to end up, in my mind, than we are in the US. You're advanced. I mean, you have around 90% of everybody in the UK on a monthly basis is checking the internet to make decisions in their life. Huge, huge number. 47% 2 months ago purchased, the average amount they purchased was around €67, but 47% of people in the UK went online to purchase a product. Staggering numbers. See, what you have is you know, I was thinking as Simon was talking about looking under the chair and what you found. You know, some of you in this room are worth thousands and thousands of dollars literally a week to your enrollers. You know that, right? So finding you, speaking to you, is like I heard people talking up here about pension plans and other things. We're going through the same thing in the States. We have a system. You know, the problem is we keep evaluating where we are as being a recession, as being a slowdown and everything else. And you've heard me say this before if you've heard me speak, because I say it virtually every time I ever talk to anybody. We're not in a recession, we're in transition. Does that make sense to anybody? Yeah. We're in transition. The world is changing forever. I mean, if the auto industry would have understood that we were heading into transition, instead of propping up policies and things that were never going to work. See, we have to understand that we were promised things that could not survive. Shake your head like this if you agree with me. You can't have, in the U.S., it takes 4 workers to support 1 on Social Security, and we're 1-to-1 now. Can it survive? Shake your head this way. No, it can't. It cannot survive. Okay, it's just basic math. It can't. But we keep telling people there's a shot it's going to. It's not. You know, we quit a long time ago in the U.S. borrowing the funds from Social Security. They had to go borrow them, and they'd write up another policy and take some funds. And instead, all the politicians voted that they would go straight into Treasury notes and Treasury bills. They would no longer, you know, borrow them. They'd put them right in there, and everybody applauded them. Well, that's the deficit. So they don't even have to say they're taking it anymore. We just put the money over there. That's the craziness that has us where we are. And what happened is that private industry followed that model, and they missed the boat. And what I want to talk to you about today is, it's not, you know, we talk about direct sales way too much. I love direct sales. If you look at the age, if you look around, most of us are about the same age. Everybody agree? We really are. And who in the world has ran off with the economy? Young people. You agree with that? Young people. How many of you have went out and seen the social media, the Facebook movie? Raise your hand if you have. Okay, stand up, those that have went out. Stand up, please.
The movie.
Okay? Every single one of you in here need to go watch that movie. Critically important. Write that down. You got to go see it. Okay, the Facebook story. Because you don't even, listen, you don't even know what time it is, really. I mean, this is a great opportunity. I want to talk about it today, but this is a leadership meeting, right? And do you want me to kind of shake you up if I can? Yeah. Okay, because it will change your message a little bit. You have a message that, number one, everybody needs to hear, desperately needs to hear what you have to say. That's a message that you have, number one. Number two, guess what? They want to hear what you have to say. If you'll get your message in tune with where we are currently, you'll find out everybody wants to hear what you have to say, and that's why some of you are growing a business faster than you ever have before, and you really don't even realize it. They want to hear what you have to say because it makes sense to them. And the more in tune that you catch up fast, the better off you're going to be. Now, I want to say a couple of things to you today to give you an example. I'm going to try to get you to participate with me, okay? Because I'm like an African-American or a black preacher in a black church. I love to have feedback, okay? It makes me happy when I have that because it, you know, it lets me know I'm on the right path, okay? If I'm not, then you just say you're not, okay? That's okay with me too. I've had that happen before, you know, because I can ramble a little bit. I literally had a meeting back a few months ago, and one of the guys back there said, "Why don't you get to the point?" I said, "Whoa, okay." So that can happen too, okay? But I want to tell you this. If the auto industry would have been about its business instead of trying to follow up the old ways they were doing and, you know, paying attention to all that, if the auto industry would have realized what time it was, guess what industry they would dominate right now? They would dominate the what industry? The mobile industry. Because guess what you do in your car? You do what? You drive around. So what if the auto industry would have had enough brains and young minds would have came in and said, you know what? We better sync up these vehicles with what this big old cell phone. Remember when the cell phones were like this? Let's make that thing smaller. Let's plug it into the dash. Let's do all of this. And they would have controlled the iPod industry, the cell phone industry. They would have owned the mobile industry if somebody would have had a half of a brain to say, you're a car, you're mobile, let's own this. Wow. Does that make sense to anybody here? Okay? And then Kodak and the others and Polaroid and everything would have owned this business if they would have just, when they seen digital, instead of burying their head in the sand and saying, wow, that's going to wipe out what I do, they should have jumped on with more resources than anybody. And they would have owned it. Does that make sense? Yahoo should have owned the search market, not Google. Yahoo should have owned it. But guess what? When the Google guys came and said, this is kind of working this way, young guys, right? Understand the young people, yeah, exactly, the book, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but the young guys should, and actually, stand up for a minute, because that's a great point. There's a book right there you all should read too. First, I got to get you to go to the movie, because that's shorter. And then this is called What Google Would Do. And tell them what you paid for it using the Genie.
$4.99.
$4.99. It's a $14.95 book. You use the Genie, $4.99 by Jarvis. A lot of things that Mark Levesque or myself talk about come from that book. What would Google do? But the point is Yahoo had all the resources, all the traffic, all the marketing power, where Google could have never done what they did if they would have just, boom, heard it, and got in the room and said, guys, this sounds to me like this is what's going to work, and we better do it. Instead, they hired, quote, you know, shirt and tie, big guy businessman came in and said, no, let's buy Overture. That's the way to go. These young guys don't know what's going on. And they got their butt kicked. Big time. When you look at companies like Facebook, again, you've heard me say this before if you've heard me speak, how they turned MySpace on its head. With all the power of Murdoch, all the media power, all the Fox television, all the things Murdoch has, and the kid knocked him out with Facebook. Now, what I want to tell you is in the next, not only is the economy changing at a pace that it never has in the history of the world, money's shifting like crazy. The reason it's hard for me to believe there's a recession is because of Apple's profits, Google's profits, all these guys' profits. Listen, it's a shift in the economy. It's a complete world shift. You've heard me say this before too. If you have $20,000 in a garage big enough or a barn big enough to ship something,